Welcome everybody. Welcome to our urban parking system repository that's been designed and developed in Enterprise Architect. My name's Scott Hebbard from Sparx Systems, and today we're going to be looking at intermediate state machine diagrams. I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire that's going to step us through and show us how we can apply state machines to our urban parking model. So welcome Stephen, how are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for the introduction. Yes, indeed, we're going to be looking at state machine models and diagrams. This is one of my favorite topics because it is a very understated diagram that has an immense amount of power that can really help people understand the business and technical elements that they're modeling, and particularly, obviously, the behavior. So as always, I'm going to start with my perspective. I've been doing some Archimate modeling. Up in the top right-hand corner, you see the list of perspective sets, and I'm going to now change it to UML behavioral models. So UML is divided into structural and behavioral, and we're looking at the state machine diagram, which is a behavioral model. You can see here that the builder page is opened, and we have a number of pre-built patterns. And again, we've got all sorts of different patterns there that are showing how to create a state machine diagram. You can inject these directly into your model by selecting the pattern and using the Create Model button up here in the top right-hand corner. That will inject the model into your repository and give you a great head start in modeling state machines. I like to do things from first principles, so I'm going to close the builder page now, and we're going to start from scratch. You see that what we have displayed is what we call a navigation diagram. It's like a welcome page. Down in here in the blue, we've got a behavioral models navigation cell, and I can click on the little icon, the circular icon in the bottom right-hand corner. That brings up a preview of what's underneath that. You can see state machines are there, so I'm good to click through on that. Know that the state machines there. So a lot of other behavioral models that state machines keep company with, like the activity model, sequence diagrams, communication diagrams. But let's click through onto this state machine diagram. So this is where we left our model with the introduction to state machine diagrams. And if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go back and look at it. So we're not going to cover this in detail, but you can see that the diagram has opened and the toolbox has got the list of appropriate elements and connectors for modeling state machines. So let's close a couple of these other toolboxes, and you can see there's a state machine, initial, final. We've got a number of these elements on our diagram, but most importantly, the start, the initial node and initial pseudo state, and then the final state there, which is decommissioned. And we have a number of transitions that connect these up, which are essentially telling us the sequence that these things are, the sequence of the states. So we've got available, booked, in session, expired, and another state out of service there. Let's have a look where this diagram is in our project browser, because we need to do a little bit of rework with this for our intermediate level. We can click on the canvas of the diagram. Over here in the browser toolbar, we have a little location, find context item. Let's do that. We'll click on that, and you can see it's opened up the diagram in the project browser. So we know exactly where we are. So we organize this in terms of the UML structure, behavioral models, and structural models. Let's do something now, and this is an important thing. What does this state machine relate to? Well, it actually relates to a parking meter. So it's available, the parking meter is available, it's booked, it's in session, it's expired, it's out of service. So let's do something now, and we'll open up our structural models, our class models, and let's go to our parking meter there. And you can see there are a number of features and items underneath the parking meter. We've got our attributes, which are structural features, and some operations, which are behavioral features. And let's now look at moving the state machine model, and all of it, grab all of it there, and we'll move it.
So how did you select all of those items there?
Yeah, great question. So I'm doing that on my keyboard. So I've selected one, then I'm holding the shift key down, and
Right.
selecting the bottom one. So that's selecting them all. A lot of functionality in the tool, and yes, as I'm using keyboard shortcuts, so apologise for that. I could multi-select them, using the mouse, but it's much easier for me to do that with the keyboard. So now I'm just going to drag that whole set of things underneath the parking meter.
Right.
And now the state machine is relative to the parking meter. This is an important thing, Scott, when you're doing state modeling, is that you have to create a model that is the states, representing the states of a classifier, in this case a class. So we've got that underneath there. Now let's do a couple of other things in our model. I'm not fussed by that color, so I'm just going to show you very quickly. We've done this before in the layout ribbon, in the style panel there. I've got this paint in here, and I'm going to put it into a different color. That's a little bit too bright, so again I can go back in here, more colors, and I can soften that up a bit just by dragging that pointer up, and I can choose a particular color obviously there. So let's do that. Makes it a little bit easier on the eyes.
So if your company had a style guide with particular RGB values, you can enter those directly as well.
Exactly, Scott. Yeah, you can do that. So let's just put it, let's even soften it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've done that. What are we going to do now with our model? Well, one of the things that we can do is this is all very well, but when we go and look at our states, we don't have notes underneath them. So what I need to do is make sure, as always, that I've got notes that describe what the state's about. It might be obvious in some cases, but it's a much better practice to make sure these are in place. So let's
it's
make
good best practice so that people that look at the model later on know what is going on.
Yeah, let's now do a couple of things before we go on. Let's follow it through. We start, we go into available, and we go to booked. Now, if you've approached a parking meter, you may have had the experience of looking at the cost for the time period that the movie or the event, that the football game that you're going to watch, and you think, gee, that's very expensive. I've got time, I might go and park somewhere else. And so you first look at that payment. So let's put another state in here. I'm going to just multi-select these with my mouse, and I'm going to drag them. Well, I'm using my keyboard, but I can easily just use the mouse there. And you can see the alignment is helping me there. The little blue dashed lines are helping me line up. Now I'm going to put in another state in here, and that's quite easy to do.
Do you have to delete the arrow?
Well, no, let's have a look at how that works, Scott. It's a great question. Let's get another state from the toolbox. Remember, I can do it from the quick linker as well, but let's do it from the toolbox. And I'm going to call this one payment pending.
Yep.
So we've got that new state now, and let's put some notes in for that one. And now, to answer your question, I can drag this connector, this transition, by placing my mouse cursor over the connection point into the other state, and make sure you free it up. And you can see now it's free, and I'm now going to put it onto payment pending. Now, I could have just dropped that in the middle of the line as well and had EA do the work, but we have demonstrated that in another video. But let's just continue on with our story now. So let's do that transition. So if I wanted to, just to reiterate on that point, I can drag a state and drop it onto a line, and that will place that element in the middle of that line and split the connectors. Let's just do something very quickly there. We'll get this one here, and we'll pick the style painter there, and we'll apply that to that element as well, overriding the default color. Now, instead of booked, I'm going to change that. I'm going to say it's occupied.
Yep.
So sort of changing the state machine a little bit. And in session, we don't need that state anymore because that was the same as occupied. Let's change the name of that one to be in grace period. So there's been some meetings in the management team, and they've said, look, we need to give people some leeway with the parking. So we'll give them a little bit of grace time, and if they to call this one in violation. So we've changed the kind of the emphasis a little bit towards, towards this concept of violation rather than expired. There we've got that. We've got our extend session. And what I want to do now, we've got that kind of lined up. We need to get a few more definitions, and we'll just do that quickly. But we'll put that into the grace period there, so we understand what that is. The parking timer has expired, but a brief grace period has been granted before issuing a violation to the vehicle. So that grace period, that might be something that you're going to define in a business rule somewhere. But anyway, let's continue on with our story. So what I want to do now is introduce you to some actions that happen in each state. So the UML defines actions that can be specified for each state. So let's have a look at this available one here, and let's bring up our features window. Now we can do that easily by going to the Start ribbon, the All Windows panel, and we've got a number of icons along here. It will be under the Properties, one of these. So we look at that. Let me say, let's bring up our features window. There it is there, and it's rather long. Very comfortably, I can click on this pin and make it a smaller window and put it directly underneath the state machine diagram. You can see it's got a number of panels: behavior, internal triggers, and connection points. We're going to focus on the behavior, and you can see 3 actions have been defined: an entry, a do, and an exit. And they're pretty much got exactly what they say, like what is the action that occurs when you enter the state, and then what things happen, the do's, what things get done while you're in that state, and then what things happen as you exit that state. So let's get started with that, and let's put in. Let's have a look at this. Okay, and let's put in an entry action here. Let's get that there, and so we're going to put in the name there, and let's put in reset timer. And you can see why that's important, because if we're coming out of the meter had been used, then we need to reset the timer so that new customer's not going to get automatically charged. And we need to put some
not going
notes.
to pay for someone else's parking. Yes,
exactly. That's not going to be a very fashionable thing to do. So we can put notes in here as well. So each one of these actions has got a name, and we can put notes in there as well. Let's put another one in. Let's put in monitor the vehicle. So, and we'll put that in this one here, vehicle. And we can put some notes in for the monitor for the vehicle as well. And so the transducers, let's put transducers or cameras. I guess a camera is a type of transducer, but let's make it. There might be some pressure pads in the road or some other type of devices. We're not designing a system here, Scott. That's the other thing to be important to remember. We're just looking at these states. So got that, and let's put in another one, and we'll call it in our state selected. We'll put in activate payment system. So now you can see that we've done that. The actions are displayed inside the state. We can make some very slight changes to that to make it bigger. Very easy to draw those as corner points out. And so we've got that. The other thing that we haven't done in this is we haven't labeled our connectors. And so that's an important thing. Like what are the connectors? Well, the connectors in UML, the state diagram, are called transitions. Don't get them mixed up with control flows and things in diagrams like activity diagrams or BPMN diagrams. They're a similar thing. They're telling you the kind of sequence that these states will be transitioned to. But let's put this in vehicle detected. So that's what's going to allow us to go from the available state into the payment pending. So the vehicle's been detected, and the machine goes, okay, there's someone there. I need to do something about making them pay for the parking. So there'll be a process of selecting the duration and all that kind of thing, but we're not focusing on that here. We're focusing on these states. So the best way to think about this, Scott, is if you imagine an old film roll, like a roll of film, we're not looking at every single frame on that roll of film, right? What we're interested in is the significant points in the film where something changes, something really important changes.
Yep.
And it has to be from a particular perspective, right? It's always from a particular perspective within the context of that roll of film. We say, okay, these are the points where something happens. For example, if we were modeling a home, we might be looking at it from the point of view of the sale. And we say, okay, it's been prepared for sale, it's been put up for sale, it's been auctioned, it's been sold. But you might look at it from another point of view. It might be a point of view of you're doing repairs on or extensions to the property. So there's a different even though it's a single entity, the house, it's being looked at from a different point of view. So it's always important to think about that point of view. And here we're looking at occupancy, right? So that's the thing. So we could easily do something now, and we could go into our common elements. We'll just have a quick look at that. We'll put some text on, and we'll put in parking meter occupancy states. Okay, so we can do that. We can simply go to our layout toolbar, choose our style panel, look at this here. We can make it bold. We'll make it 14, and we'll do that. Make it a bit longer. Change the alignment of text there. Sent to line center, and let's just change the color. So this was one of our corporate colors. We've got that there. We might then want to just make that not selectable as well. So I'm going through a few things. We've covered these in earlier videos, but we're using them now in anger to get this thing done. So with that done, Scott, I'm going to get you to do a bit of time travel magic, and we'll finish off this diagram and have a look at some of the other entry, do, and exit actions for the other states.
I've performed a little bit of time travel magic, and now we have our completed state machine model with a number of different states and different transitions between those states. So Stephen, perhaps you can describe what's going on in our state machine model for parking meter occupancy.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks for doing that time travel for me. Yes, we've completed this diagram up to a particular stage. There's still more things to do, but this ends our intermediate coverage. What's going on is that we've added entry, do, and exit actions appropriately to the other states. So not all of the states necessarily have to have all of those actions on there. There might be occasions when you don't, for example, have an entry one, but you do something during the time that the particular object classifier is in that state. So you can see that we're going now from available, and I'll just zoom in a bit there, and I'll use my pan and zoom window to move around. You can see we're going from available to park, payment pending, to occupied, to in grace period, to in violation, and then we go back up to available again. So we haven't put states actions in now out of service. We'll do something with that in a later video. So the other thing is that we've labeled our transitions, and you can see that they're describing what is the event or the trigger, if you like, of why it's transferred from one state to another. So the important take-home message from this, Scott, is to always remember that the state machine applies to a particular classifier. In our case, it's a class parking meter, and we have to have the notion of what we're looking at, what aspect of this parking meter we're looking at. We're not looking at maintenance of it necessarily. We're looking at occupancy states. So that's it for this video, Scott, and I hope people have enjoyed this and learned something about how to model these actions inside the states.
That's been fantastic. I'd like to thank our audience for watching today. As always, if you'd like to see more videos, please feel free to subscribe to the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. If you have any questions about state machines or UMO in general, and you'd like to, get some lessons or some training, you can reach out to Stephen via his LinkedIn credentials in the video description below. And if you've just come across this video, there are many more videos, including the introduction to state machines, that are available on the Sparx Systems YouTube site. As always, thanks for the informative session. Greatly appreciated, Stephen. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott.